Hi, I'm John DeArmond of the Coquille Valley Sword Group, and today we're talking about the last of the figure eights that I intend to cover. This is the figure eight on the floor. This is usually one of the first figure eights that people learn because it is closely connected with sort of the expansion of skrutka, right? Bringing skrutka out and doing more with it. I saved it to the last because I wanted to get some cutting in there so you guys didn't get bored. So, to do the figure eight on the floor, what we'll do is take our sword, and we are making a sort of traditionally shaped figure eight. In other words, it stands on its end, not on its side. We'll begin at the top, and regardless, whichever hand we use, we'll go to the outside. So on this side, we will come to the out, we will come behind our body, and then we will come in this kind of fashion. Out, back, in, out, back, in, out, back, in, but with this figure eight on the floor. So we're going to begin by doing this without using skrutka, with just using the sword motion. I'll take the sword and I'll draw that figure eight on the floor, right? I doubt that you guys will be able to see it, but it's there, right? And then I'll just, it's hard for me to not. Just softly let the sword travel, right? Now, of course, because I'm not doing any kind of major hip motion, I'm having to mechanically move the sword, which will make it more awkward and bulky, right? But it's helpful to kind of do it stationary like this so you get a real strong sense of the figure eight shape and how it should be moved, right? Away, in, away, in, right? From there, it's quite simple to start adding in the skrutka. So we'll start with skrutka first, right? We just relax, let the sword flop. Then we begin to add a little bit of manipulation to it. We make the top of the figure eight, come around behind, we make it the back of the figure eight. Right? Very simple, very easy, right? Sword comes behind me by virtue of my turn. Sword's in front of me, again, by virtue of my turn. Otherwise, it'd be at that side. Ba, 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 ba. Right? Now, the more snap I put into this, the higher it comes, right? In both directions. Snap, 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 snap. Now, the primary motion of this, or the primary purpose of this motion, is to be able to connect your other motions together. The figure eight on the floor is built into almost every Flankerovkov movement there is. If I want to do an over-the-top hand change, which looks like so, I begin with the figure eight on the floor, right? And if I switch and I'm going to double it up, I end with the figure eight on the floor, right? So, and it goes on and on and on, right? Anytime I am moving, figure eight on the floor, so forth and so on. Now, just like the other motions, it can be used in sort of direct application. Most commonly as a sort of parry and riposte, right away. Parry, riposte, parry, riposte, right? Parry, riposte, and it comes back, right? Ba, 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 ba. Except instead of taking the sword behind me, I take it in front. Right? Top of the figure eight as I parry, and then cut. Right? And then I can cut back, and I'm right back into that figure eight position that I'm accustomed to. Right? I say that, and it makes it sound like you're trying to get into a specific position to fight. This is not the case. While the Russian field manuals for the army have specific fencing positions that are used, the more traditional Russian methods just have kind of rough regions, right? High, like for when you're on a horse, or when you just feel like coming from here, right? Low, or middle, right? So it can be forward, in. It tends to move, right? It's really lively, or low, right? The Russians don't really have a lot of positions where the sword is behind them, so no wakigamai analogies, right? Or analogs, rather. It just tends to be those low, middle, high positions, right? And everything else is just a variation of that in their philosophy. So, of course, you want to do your figure eight on both sides. So, head of the figure eight goes to the outside, goes to the outside. Easy peasy, right? I can add more snap. That's going to Molyneux. Snap. Ba, 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 ba. Right? If you want to turn it into targeted cuts, right? Aim those cuts. Aim those cuts. Aim those cuts. Right? But don't get too caught up in it, right? Of course, developing your cuts so that they move with good form, good trajectory, good targeting is important, right? Drill work is not necessarily the best place to do that, right? It's much better to do that while you're working with partners, in my opinion, right? Because then you have something that you can see in front of you. There's no imagining. There's no land of make-believe. It's, oh, I hit him with the flat. That didn't do shit. I cut him well, right? I cut him where I want, not where I don't. I cut him when I want, not when I don't. Good, bad, right? Does this make sense? It's pretty simple. What I'm driving at is for these sort of fundamental motions, you want to relax and you want to not have a goal in mind so much, right? You want to experience the feeling and refine that feeling in your body, right? Once you're relaxed, if you begin to feel odd hiccups or weird moments of time, you can make adjustments, right? You can throw in a wheel, a Molyneux, right? Or some other ornament to help you explore the time that it takes you to do the motion. And again, when we say time, what we're talking about is distance traveled, not speed necessarily, right? Oh, another common problem that people tend to have, especially with this sort of figure eight on the floor, is if you watch my hands, they're very relaxed, right? They're down. There's not a lot going on. Beginners tend to involve a lot of sort of shoulder or elbow. Are they trying to keep their hand high and weird because they're like trying to look at it and go, what's going on? Am I doing this figure eight? What's going on? Right? You have to relax your form. Right? Relax your form. Right? You can add cuts. Cut, cut. I lost it. Cut, cut, cut. Right? And you can begin to play again with that motion. Right? Soft. Get a sense for it. Right? Now, of course, you don't fight this way. Right? You don't fight with your fingers like this. Right? You transition. Tight, 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 tight. Right? Easy as pie. I think that's about it for the figure eight on the floor and for the figure eights in general. With our next couple of videos, I think that we will probably look at the three types of defensive work that we do: Spezia, carrying, and camming. Right? So, as always, if you want to understand this work, you have to pick up a sword and go train.